Good evening. It is Tuesday night, September 26, 2023. Oh my, the year is going by in the illusion. Hope everybody's being safe out there. Now, in the illusion, we do what we need to do. I got my COVID vaccination and about 10 days later, I got the new flu shot, but each his own. I'm just wanting to get through this with the least amount of suffering. But anyway, we invite in Holy Spirit, Jesus, Buddha, the enlightened beings to be here with us, guide me what to do or say, and help everyone have insights and understandings and just plain have fun. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome, Holy Son of God, Joan, which is God. Holy Son of God, Angela, God. Holy Son of God, Gonzalo, God. Holy Son of God, Barbie, God. Holy Son of God, Debbie, God. Here comes Nance. Holy Son of God, Gabby, God. Holy Son of God, Nance, God. Oh. Barbie, but she's having, I can't mute you, Barbie, and I don't see any pictures yet, but she's having a lightning storm.
Here, I'm here.
Okay.
Just, hey, oh, good. Just mute yourself, honey. So we all don't hear things. I can't mute you.
But I can't see the picture.
But
I'm gone.
pardon me? On the bottom of the screen. Oh, good. We'll see. It's because of your lightning storm. I can't mute you. So anyway, all right. Welcome, welcome. Now, all this, I was talking to Joan earlier before we started recording. All of what I've described last week and this week is all new to me. So I'm trying to put into words the experiences I'm having, and sometimes I grapple with it, and then it gels, and then etc.
I gotta try to sign in, Kat.
We need you to mute, Barbie,
Yeah, but
because
Zoom
we're
kicked
hearing
me
all
off.
this stuff.
There I am.
We need you to mute. There you go. Atta girl. Thank you, Barbie. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, look, we got a picture too. Holy Son of God, Barbie. Welcome, welcome. Okay. Now the topic of tonight's talk is Christ's vision cuts through wanting and not wanting. And in preparing for the talk, I looked up the word vision and Christ and true perception, and I found this paragraph talking about, let's see where it's at. It's in clarification in terms, paragraph 4. Forgiveness, salvation, atonement, true perception, all are one. They are the one beginning with the end to lead to oneness. So true perception is the means by which the world is saved from sin, for sin does not exist. And it is this that true perception sees. The world stands like a block before Christ's face, but true perception looks on it as nothing more than just a fragile veil, so easily dispelled that it can last no longer than an instant. Because what I want to describe tonight is this Christ vision that's occurred in my mind is completely different from what I thought, Christ's vision would be. Now I talk about and read about Christ's vision means we look beyond the body to see the spirit and the light that the person is. And in the awakening process for me, that happened. I look out and I see the clear light. I see that it streams through everything and fine and dandy. But because I've been practicing this thing about being aware when I go out and grab, I picture my arm going out with my hand, and I go out and I grab on an object, and then I start having thoughts and emotions about it. I realized how the egoic mind's working. So then I looked up in the Course in the introduction, Jesus is saying, oh, here it is, that the workbook's divided into two sections. The first part deals with undoing of the way you see now, and the second is with the acquisition of this true perception or vision that I'm going to talk about here. But the first dealing with undoing of the way we see now. Now, to undo that is Jesus is teaching us to learn how the ego mind works. It's almost a psychology course is what I'm seeing. We're learning how the ego mind works, so we're not just falling, mercy to it, being drug around by it, right? But we can talk. That's why we do all the lessons. But I can talk about how ego acts. But the big thing that's happened is I read an article from this holy Buddhist guy called Tulka, Tulka, Urgyen, Urgye, and Rinpoche, Rimpoche. He wrote an article called Recognizing the Thinker. And see, that's what the first half of A Course in Miracles is getting you to do, and me to do, is recognizing who's thinking these thoughts, who's doing all this, and for you to recognize the nature of your Christ mind. I've got to somehow shut this down, but I don't know how to do that. I don't want to slide the answer. So we may just hear that sound. So Jesus is getting us to understand and become aware of how the nature of your Christ mind, your God mind, and recognize the thinker, which is ego. Ego's thinking thoughts and having these emotions and just saying all these thoughts and feelings. But the bottom line is it's our holy God mind that created ego, and ego, he created ego, and mind, and created all these forms. But that God mind is this light and love that animates our form, the light in your eyes that animates our forms. Or we wouldn't be alive in this form right here, right now. And that's what happens. You all get that. There's an energy, a light, a love, which is Christ, God, love, light, animating the form. And your true nature of mind is this clear light. But what makes it difficult is that clear light, you can't see it. And in Buddhism, they call it emptiness, but it's sure not empty. It's full of everything, all-encompassing love, unconditional love, but it looks empty. Now, what empty means is if you went and looked into a room that had nothing in there, there's just space, there's no forms, no separate little forms. That's this emptiness or clear light that I'm wanting you to grasp and recognize or visualize, faking it while you make it. Because this is this light, clear light that's in the center between your eyes. That is this vast spaciousness, that just vast, boundless space that looks like space. It's clear light. And so it's that vast, clear light that's a living force, that it can have a thought. Like we had a thought, the sun god had a thought and made the Garden of Eden. And in the beginning, the Garden of Eden, all the forms were animated. We all remembered what we were. We were spirit and light, but we were in a form. And then in this form that we made, it has senses. And here's what I want to get to is what I'm practicing. The senses are the hearing, sight, smell, the mouth that's taste, the hands that touch. And then that's 5 senses. There's a 6th one and it's the mind. There's 6 senses. And what is happening is this clear light, the spirit that we are, it's in our form. It's looking out the eyes. It's hearing through the ears. It's spirit experiencing this human form. And everything's fine and dandy. We're just seeing, we're just hearing, we're tasting, we're touching without judgment. We're not grabbing onto something we see and go, oh, I like that. Therefore, next thing that comes unconsciously is I want that. And if I can't have that, then suffering occurs. It's that logical. I like it, I want it, and if I can't have it, I suffer, because then I start this vicious repetition of thoughts. Then there's a feeling, then there's another thought, and we make a story, a narrative. It's all so fast that because we're practicing the course, things are slowing down where you become aware of what this ego mind's doing. Because remember, years ago, we didn't know what the hell the mind was doing. We were just knee-jerk reaction, doing whatever it said, instead of choosing again, a pause, choosing again, taking 2 or 3 breaths, and then asking Holy Spirit to help us, and responding, and not knee-jerk reactions. You with me? Well, here's the thing. In an awakened state, in your awakened, enlightened state, you're aware, your spirit animating this form. God is experiencing life through each of your forms, my form, each of your forms. And as I do things now, I'll look out and go, oh, God's picking up the coffee cup, and God's walking, and I feel that God's feeling the texture of the road. I'm not kidding, because this spirit is living in this world. We're not denying or repressing this life we have. That's another thing I tried to do before. And I hated the body and thought the body, was just a symbol of ego, and I was having nothing to do with it. But not true. The body's neutral. It's really holy. It was made by our God mind. It's holy in that the light is animating, streaming through it. We're gods and goddesses. I am not kidding. In the Course, I found where, so what happens is, in this new vision I have, I was sitting I'm practicing being aware when I'm not in this vertical now moment. Now, as spirit, where I'm just hearing things, just seeing things, just enjoying the senses of this, while knowing I'm spirit, and recognizing that people and everything is animated by God. Everything's God and goddesses. Everything's divine. Everything's divine, because there's only God. Now, we don't condone killing and all those things, and we call 911 if we need to. We are not a doormat psychologically, physically, in anybody. We call and get help, but as soon as possible, get out of that situation. We practice advanced forgiveness, thinking of the situations and the people as holy. They're just doing the best they can. But in essence, their mind essence, their pure essence is God. God essence, pure spirit, clear light, love. That's all it truly is. But anyway, but then I started, as I'd walk and be in my house, I'd recognize when the mind would go off and start, for example, there was a property being renovated, and there was a tree that had fallen over. And before I know it, ego saying thoughts like, well, that tree's been down for months, and branches are touching the street. Why don't they remove it? And it's talking. But see, it can talk. It can talk all it wants. That's why I let thoughts come and go. We let them come and go. But the problem is when I grab on to, oh, yes, they should be out there getting rid of that tree, removing it from the side of the road, all this woulda, shoulda, coulda, doing stuff. And then more thoughts and emotions, etc. Now, when I get in judgment, that's called judgment, of course, then based on my feelings, I recognize real quick, hold it. I just grabbed on. I'm wanting something to happen, or I'm having aversion. I want, I don't like this. I want something else to happen. These are all judgments. And it happens so fast because the culture teaches us to sort, and we think and it seems ego, it's so natural. I like it, I want it, I like it, it tastes so good, I want some more. There's no not a lot of discernment or thoughtfulness or mindfulness about it. We're just enthralled in the deal, and we eat more than we should, we drink more than we should, or talk about gossip, talk about people when they're not present. When we're sleepwalking, not aware of what the heck we're thinking, saying, and doing, we do this. Not good ethics, not good morality, but also it's judging. And in the Course, Jesus says the final thing will be the hardest thing you've ever done is not to judge. So what I'm trying to express is that's what I'm becoming aware of, is this, how often ego mind goes off to judge and grab, and I want it or I don't want it. And then in my email, I describe there's a rhythm to this. Then I just let go, take a breath and let go, meaning I let go of thinking those thoughts. But there's more to it than just letting go. After letting go, you let things come and go. So that means these thoughts and feelings may come back, but I'm not grabbed onto them. They just come and go in this energetic God living force energy that's animating things in this realm, in this physical realm. Just let them go and let them come and go and let them be, meaning leave everything as it is. Well, now that's harder than easier said than done. But you're here, listen to me, so you can practice this, and this will save you years of work. If you can recognize, make notes about all this and recognize what the mind is doing. And I wrote in my email, things I do is set up like a bell of mindfulness, meaning I set up whenever I heard a car sound or the sound of a bird chirp, it was a reminder to me to go to my mind and see what was I thinking, saying, and doing. And sometimes I'd be off thinking about the past or thinking about the future. I wasn't in this vertical now, this spacious, holy, clear light of now, just seeing thoughts come and go. I had grabbed on to some. So then I just let go, not blaming myself, beating myself up. I just let go because this is just the way ego mind works. And I just fell prey to it for all my lifetimes. And here is a post that my friend Surya Das posted today that sort of describes what I'm talking about. And it's called Don't Fool Yourself. Listen up, old bad karma. And he says the name of a friend. He's talking to a friend. This holy being is talking to a friend. Listen up. And then he calls him dweller in distraction. That's something you can write down, because what I like is I now give you different phrases that maybe can help you visualize what the hell's going on. We have been a dweller in distraction. So those things I was talking about, the mind, my eyes going off, I see it, I want it, I want it, or I don't want it. Hearing, oh, I hear that, oh, I want some more of that, or taste. Going off with all these senses, but the biggest sense is the mind that's thinking thoughts that we go off to and grab onto. So, but that's distraction. That is the ego mind distracting you from this vertical now center of this holy clear light that you are, that's love. Where in it, you just are in the flow. Things are coming and going, and you're remembering, like I said last week, and I found the quote again this week, you but in you, everything moves. Now let's see if, where that sentence is. Here it is. Clear in your likeness does the light shine forth from everything that lives and moves in you. Now, that is a bizarre sentence, I have to tell you. That's chapter 31, section 8, paragraph 12. Everything that lives and moves in you. So just picture, though, if you are this God mind, this God clear light, that's the only way it can be. Everything is moving on that light. In that light, it's moving. And how you can also look at it, think about it, is a mirror. And I want you to practice this after this meeting. Go to your bathroom or whatever and stand there, look in your mirror. And as you look in the mirror, see the mirror itself, and then see your reflection on the mirror. The mirror did not change just because you stood in front of it and showed your reflection on it. That's a reflection, that's an image, and that mirror is symbolic of your clear, pure God mind that's here now. You just aren't aware of it. It's veiled by these thoughts. But just look at that mirror. That is your clear God mind. And on that God mind, these images come and go. You with me? You walk away from the mirror. So walk out of the room. There's no image on the mirror. It's gone. It's come and go. Gone, right? Come and go. Then if you walk back in the room, look in that mirror. Then hold up a hairdryer to the mirror. There's an image. Then move the hairdryer around. I'm just wanting you to understand the mind workings, and it will save you years of work because you're just wanting to let these images come and go on your clear light mind. Now, if you need to jump out of the way, you jump out of the way. We never put the body in harm's way. You call 911, you slam your brakes on if some car's going to pull out in front of you. I mean, we're not stupid here. We're going to live in the illusion with actions, but we're doing them responsively, and we're doing them when we practice what I'm talking about of letting things come and go and recognizing when we grab onto them. What happens is this Christ vision, things change with how you think about things, how you feel, what you, etc. And this is described, this shift in your true nature to remembering what you are in instances along the way. This is in my friend Surya Das's book, Buddha Standard Time. He describes this Buddha vision, or this vision, Christ vision, God mind vision of seeing everything as holy, etc. It's when we ground ourselves in the present moment. See, that's what I want us to do. Come back as often as you can, back to this center, aware of that spacious, clear space. You're faking it while you make it. You're just picturing that space like you're looking in an empty room with nothing in there. That space is God mind. That's like God mind. When we ground ourselves in the present moment, we spontaneously connect better with others. We become more responsive and less reactive, listening more deeply and speaking with greater clarity. We gracefully step into a new zone. That zone is this flow of letting things come and go and remembering you're holy. From mere doing to being, B-E-I-N-G. From listening to hearing. From fragmentation to integration, and from separation to oneness. And so that is truly describing what occurs when you can have revelations and Christ visions and instances, and ultimately it stabilizes to where this is a generalization, and where you're looking out not with two eyes, but this single eye, and seeing that Everything is perfect, just like it is. Now, I tell you, I never have believed this. This is where I'm going to talk about. I thought when you had Christ's vision and you were really awakened and there'd be some magic wand waved and everything's heavenly and people are all acting loving and all that stuff. No, 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 no. Not when you're awakened in the physical realm. Here's what I'm experiencing. So as a result of letting these images come and go, and when I'm sitting watching TV, I'm thinking of all those people as divine as often as I can. Gods and goddesses, the clear lights animating their form, and me. I looked out, I'm not kidding you. I was sitting in my chair and I looked out into my living room in my house. Everything was just perfect, just where it was. And I turned my head to look behind me. Everything was just perfect behind me. That's called 360-degree viewing, because this center that that center is again a paragraph that Jesus says that to bring your attention back to center. I'm not making this stuff up, as you guys know, is here it is, chapter 14, section 8, paragraph 3. Let your mind wander not. Now, that's what I'm talking about here, is not, we're catching our mind from wandering, which is what I talked about. And it's also your attention. It's really your attention is wandering. It's distracted. It's going off with this object, labeling and judging. But anyway, let your mind wander not from darkened corridors. See, that's these images. That's in the ego mind. Away from light center. Unite with what you are. You cannot join with anything except your reality. This center is also an altar. That clear light, that's an altar that the Course in Miracles talks about. It's right there with you now. And you're just recognizing and becoming awake to the nature of God mind, which is your mind, and recognizing when your attention and mind wanders off. So I'm sitting in my chair, looking around. Everything was perfect, just like it was. It was shocking to me. I looked out on my patio, and then I got up and I was walking around. And what I recognized was this for me, this still center that I'm talking about here, that still center is this great ray. This great ray that connects you to source. It's a cord. It's a cord. And that's the center, but of course it radiates out. But wherever you move, that center goes with you. And you are the center of the universe. That's that paragraph that Jesus is talking about, is wherever you go, everything flows through you. You are the center of the universe. Everybody is the center, because you contain that divine God light. Now, I'm telling you a lot of things and you'll grasp them and they'll all go in your unconscious mind. It doesn't matter. You don't have to get it all now. I'm just getting that wherever you go, God is. And that lesson 183, call yourself by the name you are, God. This God is experiencing this physical world in your form. Touching, tasting, seeing, hearing, thinking. It's all pure and innocent when you come from Christ's vision. You're looking out. All the people are pure and innocent, holy. Everything's perfect. It's like the Garden of Eden. Now, granted, there's things people are doing and saying, hurting the planet and war and killing. That's their karma. Our job is remembering they're holy, pure, and innocent. They're God as well. That's our job. We don't have to agree with it. We don't have to go where there's a war, etc. We got discernment and consideration and a God mind to make choices and choose with Holy Spirit. But what I want to read here is I found a quote where Jesus says, I never realized, see, I wanted things to be different. What the hell? I want things to be different. The planet it's being destroyed, looks like. Democracy's going to hell. Blah, 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 blah. Those politicians and blah, 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 blah. Or whatever's happening in my neighborhood. Well, see, that's ego. I can't just let things be. Let them come and go and just be. But yet I still vote. I still am guided what I'm to do to help the planet and hold the light in meditation and allow the enlightened beings to work through me to bring their light into this physical realm, to touch every sentient being, seen and unseen, human and otherwise. We still do our holy light work. But here, listen to these paragraphs. Workbook 181. The world which once proclaimed our sin, see, that's what I described, all that war and shit, becomes the proof that we are sinless. And our love for everyone we look upon attests to our remembrance of the holy self which knows no sin and never could conceive anything without its sinlessness. We seek for this remembrance as we turn our minds to practice today. We look neither ahead or backwards. We look straight into the present, and we give our trust to the experience we ask for now. Our sinlessness is but the will of God. This instant is our willing one with his. See, it says here, we don't look backwards or ahead. We look straight into the present. So when my mind, my senses, my God senses, my God mind, attention, goes out there grabbing instead of just seeing. And I say this to myself. I learned this from my friend Surya Das. He'll say just seeing, just hearing. I never knew what the hell that meant. Just hearing, just, seeing, just smelling. What the hell does that mean? Well, that means our God mind is just smelling, seeing, hearing without judgment. And the Course teaches that's what we're going to get to, is not judging. But we got to catch our mind when it's off doing that, grabbing onto these thoughts and judgments. But here's another paragraph, because then we can see this world that I'm describing to you, where everything looks helter-skelter, but it's not. It's perfect, just like it is. And suffering, all suffering, if there wasn't suffering, I would not have turned to the Course, because I call that la-di-da. Everything's perfect. If everything had just been lovey-dovey, no issues, you think I'd turn to anything thinking there had to be a better way? No. So suffering is called grist for the mill. Anything that happens, illness, anything, we breathe through it. We practice our advanced forgiveness, seeing ourselves as holy, even the illness as holy, only light, only reflective radiance of this clear light that's animating things, creating images, feelings, all these feelings and emotions. Father, here, this is workbook lesson 313, paragraph 1. Father, there is a vision which beholds all things as sinless. That's what I'm describing. You're sitting at the center of this God, your God mind, stillness and total stillness, totally pure innocence, clear light, and all that's radiating out in everything, because that's how it is. There's only God light radiating out through all these images. But anyway, there's a vision which beholds all things as sinless, so that fear is gone. And where it was is love invited in. And love will come wherever it is asked. This vision is your gift. The eyes of Christ look on a world forgiven. In his sight are all sins forgiven, for he sees no sin in anything he looks upon. Now let his true perception come to me, that I may awaken from the dream of sin and look within upon my sinlessness, which you have kept completely undefiled upon the altar to your holy Son, the self with which I would identify. Let us today behold each other in the sight of Christ. How beautiful we are, how holy and how loving. Now, when I read that paragraph, I went, what? That's what I'm talking about here. We're looking out, seeing sinlessness, seeing the perfection of everything just as it is, not wanting things to be changed. Because if we want things changed, then that means I'm looking out from ego mind, seeing things I want or I don't want. I like it or I don't like it. And I'm sorting and labeling, etc. Now, we still make plans. We still budget. I still decide if I want to go on a certain vacation, etc. Don't get me wrong. I'm normal here. This is the middle way I'm talking here. But with practice, as we live here, we get to this vision of Christ where it is cutting through all afflictions, all delusion, all this sinlessness. And I'll just give you an example. So remember, I'm moving, but I don't know where I'm going or anything. But I think it was Monday morning. I was out walking, and man, I got the understanding that I needed to paint the exterior. I live in geodesic domes. They're round, strong, energy efficient housing. And there's no roof. It's concrete that gets painted with elastomeric paint to seal it. And periodically they get repainted every 4 or 5 years. Well, these need to be repainted, especially if I sell, it needs to be repainted. And I might as well take care of this, right? So when I got home, I thought about, well, then how am I going to get a subcontractor? And used to, I would, when I refurbished my house and my yard for drainage, I'm used to hiring subs. But I hadn't done that for a while. I called my brother-in-law and I said, now, Dan, how am I going to find the correct subcontractor to paint my domes? And he recommended I go on Angie.com. And so I did. And then we talked about how to describe my job, because see, they need to rent or have a lift and an airless sprayer, because in the past, I'm not kidding you, when this was painted before, I hired the workers, and not that time, but the time before when I hired the workers, at the top of these domes, there's eye bolts, and we thread a rope through it and we tie the rope on a harness. I would be on the top of these domes, hanging off these domes, scraping paint, old paint, rolling paint, caulking, nothing I wasn't going to do. I'm from a farm in Missouri. Nothing I wasn't going to do, but I was always careful. But the thing was, I want to describe is I know how the heck these buildings get painted and repaired. So when I described that on the Angie.com, I'm going to get to this real fast. I got immediately, there were 3 or 4, they searched that came back of recommendations. And 3 of them called me. And we're talking just like that. So this is Monday morning, talking to my brother-in-law on the phone. This is happening before 11 o'clock. They call. No, hold it. It's happening first thing in the morning. And because it's agreed, one of them comes out at 11:30 to look at the job. One comes at 1. One comes between 3 and 4. It all got agreed to. And as one would call, I would explain, well, I've got this other guy coming at this time. What's available for you? And that I explained to him, I'm getting 3 bids, and I want to do this when I'm ready to do it, right? So they came out, but here's the crux of the story. So today I got the bids. But when the first guy was here, see these geodesic domes, I was showing them to him, and he says, he had an associate, and when he doesn't have work, he allows this person to go bid jobs on his own. This guy was off, I'm not kidding you, he's telling me this guy is off airless painting with a lift, a dome. And he told me in cocoa. I'm not kidding you, a dome. I go, well, that's sure. I didn't use the word synchronistic, but I thought, well, that means this guy knows how to use a lift, how to work with the dome. They've had to pressure wash it and clean it, the algae, let it dry, caulk cracks, and there's a whole process. So I thought, well, that's cool. And I asked him, well, if you get the bid, will he come and do my job? Yes. Well, anyway, that guy leaves. But I'm watching. Do you know this guy leans down to pull a weed out of a small crack that's by the edge of a door? And when he does it, I go, oh yeah, that's a crack that needs to be caulked. Then he wanted to get on top. There's a walkway between these two domes. He wanted to get on top of this walkway and look, I have these cupolas or caps on top of the dome. The center of one of these domes is 24 feet tall. And he wanted to see on top to see if there was damage up there, because that would affect his bid. He was a young person. I call them kids now because they're so young. He was thorough. He was diligent. He was thoughtful. And he was asking me questions, explaining how they remove the dirt away from the base of the dome so it all get painted down below the dirt line, blah, blah, blah. Explaining all this stuff to me. I get the other two bids. Okay, today I get all the bids. His bid is in the middle, but more importantly, he texted me pictures of the dome they were painting. This guy was painting. That's going to paint my dome if I take his order. Do you know, this person is painting my old office domes that I owned for over 30 years with my husband. And out back were my factory domes. There were 5 domes there. It was a complex. They showed me a picture of my 2 office domes. And I'm not telling them that they're my domes until after, because it sounds like I got more money than I do, right? But think about this, folks. The synchronicity that I have to tell you, I asked Holy Spirit when before this was coming down, I was walking. I asked Holy Spirit, you got to help me with this. This could get complicated. This could be, drag out for a while, figuring all that, et cetera, et cetera. And then I had a friend, and I asked this friend, I said, please pray for me that I get some good subcontractors. I'm not kidding you. And look what has occurred. I've got a person who has experience painting my own past dome. And they have workers' comp insurance and a liability insurance, because in the world, we are not stupid. I am not stupid. Things happen. And so workers' comp insurance is for if somebody's injured on your property, they can't sue you and take your property. Liability insurance is if they hurt something on my property, I got skylights, doors, and windows. Something gets damaged, it gets repaired. I don't pay for it. I mean, this is all discernment, but it's not paranoid or crazy. This was all just very methodic. And so I stood in my living room once this was coming down, and I realized I'm hiring that guy. I talked to my brother-in-law. I wrote a reply email to the bid clarifying some questions I needed answered. And I wanted to hiring once all this stuff got straightened out to my liking. I'm to provide the paint. See, I had the paint, the caulk, and all the stuff I buy wholesale from when I owned a business, blah, blah, blah. I mean, folks, I just stood in my living room and I went, Holy Spirit, woo, thank you. Thank you. And thank you, enlightened beings, for all your prayers. And what came to me is, when we're trying to live right, in Dzogchen Buddhism, it's called the 10 paramitas. One of them is ethics and morality, all bunches of things, patient forbearance. And in the Course, there's a chapter in the Manual for Teachers that's talking about, in essence, ethics and morality, which is Dzogchen. Because we're changing from egoic thinking, which is me, only me. I don't give a crap about anybody else. I'm not here to help anyone else. And all that means is I'm here to give my light out, a shoulder to lean on, a helpfulness if I can, voting or contributing food to a shelter or whatever. That is good karma. Oh my. Now, and to reiterate what I was talking about last week is there's two aspects. Well, there's two things going on. As you become aware of the now, and bringing your attention away from grabbing onto these objects, and I'm going to read some more about that grabbing onto these objects, you don't produce karma. Judgments are karma. Oh, so picture this. So all these lifetimes, and Jesus says you can save eons of time, if thousands of years, if you do this. Well, we've spent lifetime after lifetime after lifetime grabbing with our six senses, going out there. I like it, I want it. I don't like it, I don't want it. And picture this, what happens. This came to me. Picture we had a pureness. The eyes were just seeing what was going on, just hearing. It was pure. So when we have that first thought, guess what happens? That thought comes and clogs my eyeball. A thought, it clogs. Well, if I let it go, it's gone. But picture lifetime after lifetime, we didn't know this. So picture every thought of judgment, another clog, another clog, another clog. So what happens is there's this miles deep darkness, armor that's got clogged. It started from clogging all these senses up. Every pore of our bodies is clogged when asleep. But as awakening, you get lighter. You get a lighter feeling. That means light's starting to show up in your form, in your mind, and your body's an image in your form, so it feels lighter. But that hit home to me. Whoa, when people talk about letting go of a self-concept, well, hey, you're letting, and baggage, let go of your baggage, let go of your stories, let go of your past memories. If you had a bad childhood, the parents were awful or abusive, that's all memories, baggage, judgments. Bless our hearts. We weren't aware of how the mind, egoic mind works, not aware of our innate God nature, pure light. We were in a culture, we believe we're a body, So then we just keep grabbing onto these judgments. And so what's happening as you practice now, and aware when you hang on and let go, you're not adding karma. And then the second thing is when you're, that's in my email, you're asking the Holy Spirit to show you the things you don't like or the things you hate. Because these are memories and thoughts that are buried. They're there. They got to be looked at and purified and brought to the surface because they're baggage. They're judgments that are clogging your unconscious mind and all these senses, all your cells, all the chakras are all clogged up with judgments, interpretations. Bless our hearts. We didn't know what the hell we were doing. But see, that's called ignorance. But you guys are waking up and becoming awakened to the nature of your mind and how all this works. So I'm hoping to save you years of work. But I'll go back to this posting about it called Don't Fool Yourself. Listen up, you dweller in distraction. For ages now, you've been beguiled. I had to look that word up, beguiled. That means tricked, enchanted in a deceptive way to do something. For ages now, ages means those are those thousands of years that Jesus talks about. You've been beguiled, entranced. Entranced means there's been a spell cast on you. Cast a spell on holding your entire attention. And see, that's what happens that I'm talking about here. We cast a spell on ourselves and my attention goes totally focused on thoughts and feelings about some object. and it just focused on there. It's called, so for ages now, you've been beguiled, entranced, and fooled by appearances. Are you aware of that? Question mark. Are you? Question mark. He's asking this person, and I'm asking you, are you aware that you've been fooled by appearances? Right this very instant, when you're under the spell of mistaken perception, you've got to watch out. Don't let yourself get carried away by this fake and empty life. See, that's Jesus says, of course, this is a dream, but remember that time I asked, well, what's that? What does all of it mean? It means there's nothing but God. And I cried because I thought there's still people out there. Well, there isn't. It's a fake and empty life. Now, we still enjoy life. We're not going to be morose, depressed, none of that crap, because that's ego. Anything but loving and happy and peaceful and enlivened. Just that's to bring you back to your awareness that I've grabbed onto some thought and I'm depressed about it. Well, that's ego. So you come off of that, let go, just simply let go, take a breath, stop, let go. Let that thought come and go. And if you come back and recognize the true nature of mind, this spaciousness, this clear light, guess what? That thought dissolves. It's dissolved. Because when your awareness is on this clear light, faking it while making it, you're not thinking about that other thought. It gets dissolved. And so it's a real miraculous process that happens by being in this light. But anyway, right this very instant, when you're under the spell of mistaken perception, you got to watch out. Don't let yourself get carried away by this fake and empty life. Your mind is spinning around. See, that's another word, spinning around about carrying out a lot of useless projects. It's a waste, he says, exclamation mark. Give it up, exclamation mark. Thinking about the 100 plans you want to accomplish will never enough time to finish them, just weighs down your mind. You're completely distracted by all these objects, which never come to an end, but keep spreading out more like ripples in water. They just spread out. They're just all consuming. All your attention's all focused on them. Don't be a fool. He says, oh man, I mean, we're not fools, or we wouldn't be here. Now, what I want to cover right here real quick is I went through that article, Recognizing the Thinker. And that is talking about when you bring your attention back to this center of that clear light, the thought dissolves that quickly. So see, this is just a habit that gets formed where you become aware of what you're thinking, saying, and doing. And if you're not just seeing something and enjoying it, or eating something and enjoying it, no worries. But when I'm attached, that's something different, right? Here's what that Holy One says. We're wanting to recognize mind essence. See, that's what I'm trying to talk about here. What's that say? You can remind yourself to recognize your mind essence as often as possible. So you can have a note about this. I want to recognize my mind essence, the true nature of my mind, my Christ nature, my God nature. When distracted, just recognize your essence. Essence looks like emptiness. And that's when I explain to you, like there's no separate things. Just picture a room, it's all empty. There's nothing in there. Or picture a blue sky that has no clouds or birds or airplanes on it. That's this vast, boundless God mind that's here. But what happens, with our God mind, it's us doing this. We're making images that come and go on that clear God mind, like a mirror. Picture just the mirror as you, your clear mind, pure mind, and the images are come and go. Simply let be in naturalness. See, that's called, Buddhism calls all this naturalness. This is your natural state, this Christ state, this Buddha state, this God state. Just let be. Let the light shine like turning on a light switch. So you go in a room, you see a light switch, just switch that sucker on and picture this light comes on. Well, that's your mind. That mind is lit with this light of God. You're Christ's mind. You don't have to keep turning the light switch off and on. That you turn it on once, it's on. So when you come back to your bring your attention and awareness, we're talking about going from ordinary awareness. I'm talking about awakened awareness. You're bringing your awareness back to this center. Once you see the mind is empty, allow it to be naturally as it is. Your attention wanders off. Our mind is not completely beyond us. We know when we get distracted. Simply recognize what was distracted. You see there is nothing to see because remember the Course teaches in those beginning lessons, there's nothing out there. That cup, you gave that cup every meaning it ever has, but there's nothing there. So nothing to see. And the moment of seeing there's nothing to see, it is free of thought. Because see, you're faking it while you're making it. These thoughts and emotions are empty because they're fueled, they're animated by the clear light. Their truth is this clear God light. That's why in this Christ vision, you're standing in the middle of your house looking out. Everything's perfect as it is because it's sinless. It's pure, holy, and innocent. A thought is simply an empty thought movement. Empty means this pure light. An empty thought movement. Emptiness is just moving around. Purity is just moving around. I'm just trying to give you words. We focus on an object through our eyes, ears, etc., and make thoughts and emotions about the object. Being caught up in one's thoughts and acting upon those feelings is the cause of endless samsara or hell. See, that's what I'm talking about. Being caught up in one's thoughts and acting upon those feelings is the cause of endless samsara. Thought is an expression of mind. We don't want to get caught up in the expression. We caught up in thinking, we focus on the false, the unreal. See, that's just some, let's see. The moment you link your mind up with some object of experience, you get an immediate reaction. You either like something, you want something, or you don't like something, you don't want it. And if the thing persists, that thing you don't want, if it persists, you're going to suffer because you want it out of your life. Why the hell is this going on in my life? I don't want it. So then we're connected with that image. Or if I like it and I can't have it, then I suffer. That's why this thing about Dzogchen Buddhism, this whole Course in Miracles, Jesus is teaching you to be aware of your mind, but it boils down to wanting things and not wanting them. That's the crux of it. Can I recognize when my mind and attention and awareness goes off with an object, with thoughts and emotions about an object? Okay, now we're at 8:04, so I guess I can. I should read in my email, the things I've done. But the main thing that's changed all of this is becoming centered, being aware that there's a center, a now, the eternal moment that's called, it's eternal. That means it's vast and boundless. We're not affected by time. That's not our real world. That's not our real Christ self. So, but being in the now causes all this shift that you've been seeing happen to me in the last 2 or 3 months. Let's see if this, we practice Jesus' advanced forgiveness on every, that says as many things as you can, because in Dzogchen Buddhism, that's called diamond rule. or diamond vision. And what that means is a diamond is an item that's so tough, it cuts through everything. So with diamond vision or Christ vision, you can cut through these thoughts, these emotions, and see that there's clear light there. Mind essence, your natural mind is there. That's called cutting through. There's a certain word, I forget if it's Treshed in Dzogchen, but Jesus uses it too. He has us look through the item. And that's what this means, to cut through. And we give up our self-concept and the existence of the world. We've brought everything into the circle, meaning the things we don't like or hate, we bring them all into the circle, and we say, I love you and God to them. I don't care if it's 100 or 500 times. With yourself in there. We practice daily meditation and integrating truths into our daily life from the Course. That's lesson 31 in Manual for Teachers M16. We practice turning over each day to Holy Spirit. We practice this way out of letting go, letting things come and go and just be as it is, not grabbing onto things. Being aware when we grab onto things. Let's see what the rest of this thing said. We journal our recurring obsessions and dislikes and practice bringing that to our attention and practicing I love you and God to all that. Setting up a bell of mindfulness. We're reminded by a sound, or maybe it's a taste or a sight, to stop and think about what's my mind doing, saying, what am I doing, saying, and thinking, etc. It's all about being aware of what's going on right now. Okay, now we're at 8:06. I'm going to stop now for any questions or thoughts. Thanks for coming out. And before we have a question or comment, let's practice advanced forgiveness on each person here at the screen. All that means is simply saying you are spirit, or all of it, or you are God. That's that simple. Because every time you do that to a thing, event, or an image, your unconscious mind believes that about you. We're just filling the unconscious mind with truths, holiness. It's super. Holy, yeah. So we practice e-perching on the screen. Yeah. Oh man, it's that easy. And yourself, God, you're God. Okay, any thoughts or comments before I stop the recording? Thank you all for coming out tonight. Oh my. This is not what I thought Christ's vision would look like. I wanted a bunch of stuff not in there. See, that's called exclusion. That's not union or not two-ness. Oh, duality, what this perception I'm talking about tonight change. You're becoming aware of subject and object. Subject is your God mind. The object are these images that it's making out there and doing. It's your God mind doing all this. And also you're having union of perceiver and perceived. So there not being a separation between subject and object. You're coming out of duality into not two-ness, because that's this coming off of thought, taking your attention off of thought, emotions, into this still clear light. It's huge. This practice is so huge. And thinking a person as God and I love you, because that's what you are. And thinking of them as light, clear light, animating their form. You see that light in their eyes. All that is perfection. All that is truth that we talked about. Truth is true. This is the crux of the Course in Miracles. But anyway, okay, any thoughts or comments that just came to me? Gonzalo might be driving, so he can't talk. Okay, no thoughts or comments? I love you guys. Holy Son of God, Angela. Holy Son of God, Gonzalo. Holy Son of God, Glenda. Holy Son of God, Gabby. Holy Son of God, Debbie. Holy Son of God, Teresa, that was here. Holy Son of God, Nance. Holy Son of God, Barbie. Thank you all for coming out tonight. I certainly appreciate it. Thank you so much. And just think about it. Wow. Out of the whole universe, 8 billion people, we're together. I mean, talk about divine order, perfect as it is. It just brings tears to my eyes, because I'm just hoping one thing I say could help someone. And you know, that talk last week where I talked about wandering, some lady wrote a comment, or a person wrote a comment, that that's what she needed that day, to be aware that we're too tolerant of mind wandering. And I was given ways to help be aware of that, because she needed that, because her mind was running roughshod on her. That wasn't her word, but I mean, it's just a divine order that people that we're here to hear this, because I was not taught things like this. Honest, I never knew things like this. You can save years of your life. Oh, but I'm not kidding, because of Dzogchen Buddhism and my friend Surya Das and the Course and meditation, I would not be here. Because see, the Course, I needed a few other sentences, a few other practices to help me understand what the Course was saying, what Jesus was saying. And they both marry themselves, this Dzogchen Buddhism and A Course in Miracles. So evidently it also touches your heart, so y'all wouldn't be here. But thank you so much. It's mind-boggling to think we're of like mind and we're drawn together in this path of awakening. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to stop recording now.